Thank you very much. Let me do a very quick disclaimer. Since NUC is in the room, I'm not actually a doctor, but since he has decided to give me one, I'll take it and not take it. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. I am with the Alliance for Affordable Internet. And for us, the theme of this conference is very apt. Because as Alliance for Affordable Internet, we see ourselves as the broadest technology sector alliance. And what do? We do our work around driving down the price of broadband so that it becomes affordable for as many citizens as possible. So this morning I'll be taking you through a couple of issues that we've seen in our work around internet use and also around affordability. And the country is progressing well. It's not all the bad news when you look at the Nigeria's ranking in the affordability index. So we are 19, and what is that 19 telling us? For us, it is telling us that we have about 200 million now of Nigerians, and of that 200 million, 84,000 of that 200 million is online. That's around 42%. And when you look at the cost of data now, the cost of buying 1 gig of data, it's around 1% of the monthly income of an average Nigerian. So while I was coming this morning, I actually checked that also to be sure that I'm not giving the wrong data. So I checked how much I'm spending on data monthly, and I did it as a calculation of my monthly salary, and it came to 1%. So I said to myself, all right, so in this room, let's just, I'm glad that there's internet in the room. So do you want to do a math of what you're earning monthly and see how much you're spending on data and see whether it gives you that 1%? Should we do that math? I just did that, and it gave me that 1%. So I also checked across providers of internet services, and I'm saying that you can get at least 500 for 1 gigabyte of data, which I like to call B now because I've been watching too much of these adverts. So I'll say 1 B, but that's gigabyte, you know. And it's around 500, some 400, and all of that. So that's fine, because what we do at Alliance for Affordable Internet is to ensure that 1% of your monthly pay is what you use on in buying internet, and Nigeria is progressing so well in that. We seem to be the first country to have that to meet the 1-for-1. We call it 1-for-1 because we're saying 1% of your monthly income going to 1 gigabyte of data. But on the average, when you look at Africa as a whole, on the average, people in Africa pay 7.1% of their monthly income for just 1 gigabyte of data, making the continent the world's least affordable for mobile data. So what that means, when you look at it in terms of the minimum wage that is approved now, which is 30,000 naira, it shows that in Africa, they are spending around 2,130 naira for just 1 gigabyte of data. Isn't that expensive? And in dollar terms, that's like $6. When you look at mobile and mobile phone ownership in Nigeria, for men, it's around. For men, it's around. Let me just check. For men, it's around 89%, and for women, it's 84%. So, mobile phones seems to be ownership seems to be good. But when you look at the mobile internet users, we have a 15% difference in who is using the internet in terms of gender. So we find more men online than women. And we need to bridge that gap if we're going to have internet for everyone. For us, in terms of the challenges to affordable and ubiquitous and affordable internet, we're seeing 3 strands of challenges. One has to do with pricing, the other has to do with infrastructure, and the other has to do with funding. For us, 60% are still offline. If internet would be for everyone, we need to get to like 95, 99, 100%. 65% of women are left behind, and when you look at the Sustainable Development Goals mantra of leaving no one behind, we need to find a way of bringing that 65% back into the fold of those that use the internet. We've had amongst industry players, they cry for increased data rates, there's high tax burden, and there's weaker currency. And we're saying as an alliance that Nigeria can do better to make broadband affordable and increase penetration. When you look at the infrastructure element of the challenges that we're talking about, we're seeing insufficient towers, underutilized fiber, limited regional metro and metro fiber sharing, unused spectrum, right-of-way challenges, delayed permitting and site acquisitions. Again, we're seeing room for significant improvement in infrastructure sharing. And the national coverage target that Nigeria is working hard now presents an opportunity for us to address these infrastructure challenges. In terms of funding, we're seeing a slowdown in foreign direct investment, devalued forex rates, market exit threats, potential job losses, dollarized rents and bills, then real fear for more fines. And for us, again, we're saying all hope is not lost. Nigeria is still a very attractive market. Fintech in this country is promising, and local content and demand continues to grow, but market stimulation is very key in these regards. So these are the three key actions that we're hoping could drive digital development. We're thinking that if there's an increase in infrastructure and resource sharing, we would have the right result, making use of the USP, use of Universal Service and Access Funds. We're also making recommendations on how best to increase investments in improving public access solutions. We're also saying that there's a need for us to turn effective broadband planning into effective and efficient implementation. When you look at the country's broadband plan, it was developed in 2013 and lasted up until last year, and we're in the course of developing another one now. The broadband plan itself articulates how Nigeria will achieve the objectives of the 2012 approved ICT policy. In that plan also you have a target of, when you get on the internet, we're saying that you must be able to have 1.5 MB per second in terms of your internet experience. That's what the broadband plan says. It also outlined how Nigeria will work towards its vision of Nigeria becoming a society of connected communities with high-speed internet and broadband access that facilitate faster socio-economic advancement to the nation and its people. Again, fitting so well within the internet for everyone mantra of this conference. But this was in 2018. Let's see how that fared. Again, we're doing an analysis in such a way that we're linking it to government policies. I'm sure you all know the Economic and Recovery Growth Plan of the federal government, which has been designed to jumpstart the economy away from recession. We linked the broadband plan to that, and also linked it to Vision 2020 to see how the internet can fit so well into helping government to achieve these two plans. And the Vision 2020 also is, by next year, would have to review that and have another national level development plan. Having said that, we'll then have to look at what progress has been made between 2012 and 2018 when that plan was meant to have been implemented and to have given us some results. Overall, we've read that there's about 31% internet penetration. So we're not up to 100 yet, but I guess that the plan itself gives 30% penetration. So overall, it has met that. But when you do a bit of target analysis, we're saying that for the broadband target facilities, it's 16%. That target isn't met, and we're suggesting a couple of ways that we can again meet these targets, especially given the fact that a new broadband plan now needs to be in place, hopefully by the end of the year, so that we have a broadband plan from 2020 to like 2025 that details how best we want to ensure that the country achieves a lot using broadband. I'm sure this presentation will be given so you can see some of the proposals that we've made. But for us as Alliance for Affordable Internet, we have a wish list for what the broadband plan should look like post 2018. We are saying to ourselves that all new sites to be LTE compatible. We want to see an implementation of the harmonized right-of-way charges on state government highways, with federal at the cost of 145 naira per meter. Elimination of multiple taxation and regulations. We want to see the spread of 3G coverage, and also an upgrade of 2 Gbps to 3G. We're thinking that, the spread of 5G to at least 5% of the population would help, especially given thoughts and happenings around artificial intelligence, machine learning, and big data. We're also saying to ourselves that the spread of 3G and LTE services should move up to 100% of the population with a minimum broadband speed of 1.5 Mbps. We also want to see a deployment of at least one access point of fiber with a 10 Gbps capacity in all the 774 local government areas of the Federation through the InfraCo project. That's a tall ambition, but that's my presentation for you this morning. Thank you very much.